How's it going, everybody? Mr. Holton here, and would you look at the time? It's time for some additional details about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Because you see, yesterday Game Informer released their exclusive article on Dragon Age the Veilguard, where one of their editorial staff had visited BioWare to check out this upcoming RPG. And before I jump into the details about what was revealed, I want to mention that I'm not going to show off a bunch of pictures from the exclusive article itself because I just don't know if that's okay, if I'm even allowed to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Shinobi608's breakdown on Twitter, and we're first going to look at all the gameplay details that has been revealed, and then we're going to look at some story details. And just for your information, some of that story stuff might be a little bit spoilery, so have that in mind when we go into that in the second part of this video. Okay, so my man Shinobi602 here breaks down the skill tree and gameplay systems. First of all, warriors can throw their shield a la Captain America style and attack with sword solo. Warriors can also get a Spartan-style kick ability. Mages can put up firewalls. Now, you might have watched my live stream about the reaction for the gameplay reveal, and I mentioned that I would have loved to see a Spartan-style kick where you kick people off the cliffs, because that is one section of the gameplay reveal where it would just have been super cool if that happened instead of just hitting the enemy and they just fly off. And supposedly there is one of these attacks, so that's super cool. I just wish they would have showcased that. Anyway, warriors can parry, rogues have a longer parry, and mages can throw up a magic shield wall to block enemy attacks. The article itself also teases attack finisher moves, which is another thing that I asked Michael Gamble if that was a thing in the game, and supposedly, it is, or it seems to be. They just don't want to reveal it yet, I think. But yeah, that would make sense. Build weapon loadouts and customize gear for Rook and companions, cross-compare equipment and gear. Loving us some good old RPG stuff right here. Skill tree, large circles in your class, diamonds are abilities, medium circles are major passives and ability upgrades, small hexagons are traits, small circles are minor passives. So we have various shapes and forms here that supposedly represent the various ability classes you will be able to invest points into. Passive abilities unlock jump attacks and guarantee critical hit opportunities. So you even unlock new attacks with your passives, which makes sense considering that we've only seen 3 skill slots being occupied for your main abilities, of course. So yeah, we're gonna have to fill a lot of the attacks up with passive attacks, of course. Each class has 3 specializations, each with their own unique ultimates. And for example, we can see here with the mage, we have the Deathcaller specialization, then we have the Evoker and the Spellblade. And between each of these specializations, we have a tremendous amount of skill points to invest in, and that makes me super excited. That just looks really cool. And I'm actually surprised at the amount of depth that has been shown here so far. Some companions have synergy combo attacks which work off each other. Of course, we've seen that in pictures before, that there's a combo system in the game, so yeah, you're gonna have to synergize with your companions. Create double weapon loadouts for quick switch-ups mid-combat. Sounds a little bit like Mass Effect Andromeda-ish. I like the quick swap where you could switch between different profiles. It seems like they've taken inspiration from that. For example, as a mage, you can add 3 stacks of arcane buildup for an arcane bomb on an enemy, charge a heavy attack on your staff, switch to magical daggers via the down D-pad for quick light attacks, then back to staff for a devastating heavy attack that explodes the arcane bomb. Okay, well, now we see you can quick switch and switch between various weapons and abilities. That's badass. The team designed the combat system to be what players want to get out of it. In other words, if you want to button mash and use abilities freely after cooldown, you can. If you want to strategize your combos, take advantage of elemental vulnerabilities, and min-max companion and rook's abilities, you can. Cool, so now we can confirm that there is a pretty big accessibility section when it comes to the gameplay of the game. So if you just want to, smash your head against the keyboard, so to speak, you can do that if you want to. And supposedly it works, but it's probably going to work better if you just try to strategize just a little bit. Longtime Dragon Age veteran Mark Dara feels it's the first time combat in the series is legitimately fun. What I see in Veilguard is a game that finally bridges that gap. Uncharitably, previous Dragon Age games got to the realm of combat wasn't too bad. In this game, the combat's actually fun, but it does keep the thread that's always been there. Now, another person that can attest to this is, of course, Kala Elizabeth, one of my YouTube colleagues, so to speak, and, well, she's played Dragon Age the Veilguard herself, and she felt that essentially the combat is is okay in Dragon Age, as far as I can understand her words about it or her feelings about it, but this game made her actually have fun. And that seems to be the general sentiment from people who have actually played it, that it's actually fun, it's interactive, it's fluid, it's responsive. But hey, we'll see, because it sounds like it's a very different deal than previous Dragon Age games. All right, that does it for the gameplay. Now let's get into some of the lore and some spicy story details. Again, spoiler warning, you have been warned. Watch this at your own peril. Okay, so first of all, we've now found out that after the ending of the gameplay reveal, Rook's blood interacted with the ritual, so now they're tied to the Fade according to Solus. And according to the article, Solus and Rook will now be communicating with each other through the Fade. The two figures seen at the end of the demo are the elven gods Elgar'nan and Gillenane. Now, some of you story buffs know who those gods are. I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously some of you don't want that part spoiled, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'm very curious in case we're going to encounter other gods through the elven pantheon as well. Solus is trapped in the Fade while the other two gods are now free. So just like I've said before, I didn't really trust that Solus was going to be the main villain from the very get-go, and I guess I was right. But I also like that because I think that Solus is a great character, and I think even if I dislike him, I do think that we do have a redemption story on our hands here. I really hope we do. The lighthouse, our base, is in the Fade, was Solus' home base, and now becomes ours. And so just like previous Bioware games, we're obviously having our home base, just like, you know, the Normandy or the Keep and Dragon Age Inquisition. But I'm very curious as to what this lighthouse looks like. We will use the Illuvians to traverse the world for missions similar to Inquisition's Crossroads. Bellara is the next up to recruit after the opening events in the Arlathan Forest. Bellara is specialized in electricity compared to Neve's ice powers. You can bookmark and pause combos by dashing and then resume them after, which is apparently really cool. It does really sound super cool, because that means that you don't necessarily have to interrupt your combos, which is pretty new to me. I don't think I know a game that has that kind of system. Arlathan Forest's whimsy really starkly contrasts to other areas. They promise some grim locations and even grimmer story moments, I would imagine. I mean, it's Dragon Age. It started as a dark fantasy game, after all. You can rank up your relationship bonds with your companions by helping them on personal quests and taking them with you on main quests. How you help, what you say, choices you make, etc. all determine your relationships. And hopefully this is the deepest Bioware game in terms of relationships and choices and repercussions yet. We don't know. That's just my hopes that it is, because we know that this game is going to be much more tight in comparison to something like Dragon Age Inquisition or Mass Effect Andromeda. So I'm really hoping that this is one of those games that not really revolutionizes the entire choices and repercussions, but has a lot of it. Now, I also want to give credit to the Reddit user RedBomb6 over on the Dragon Age subreddit, who has written a pretty good comprehensive summary of the Game Informer coverage. So remember to check that out as well, because there are some additional details I didn't go over with Shinobi602's breakdown on Twitter. But for now, I think we've covered some of the more meaty details that we found out from the Game Informer article. Anyway, I want to hear what you guys think of all this new information. Are you more excited for the next Dragon Age game? Are you still a little bit on the fence about it, or are you not excited for it at all? I know there's been a huge discussion going on. I can see that every day on my channel. But remember to let me know in those comments below as always. Have a great day. Mr. Alton, signing out.